So the next chapter, it's actually, well, not chapter, but it's part 7. And as you can see from the screen, let me hold it up here so you can see better. It's the Miranda chapter, or Miranda section. So, as I've mentioned in this book before, for the next few chapters, and this section's not too long, so I might read it all in one section. So you can pause it and come back if you want. It's about 10 pages. But this is all from Miranda's point of view. So when you hear me say I or me in the first person, so the person speaking in the novel now is Miranda. So you're going to find out, you're going to get a little bit of over the summer what happened with Miranda, why she come back, why she changed. And, her and Via weren't friends very well for a while. And then all of a sudden she became sick in this play and let Via take over. So we're going to find out why. Camp lies. My parents got divorced the summer before 9th grade. My father was with someone else right away. In fact, though my mother never said so, I think the reason that they got divorced was that. After the divorce, I hardly ever saw my father. My mother acted stranger than ever. It's not that she was unstable or anything, just distant, remote. My mother was the kind of person who had a happy face for the rest of the world, but not a lot left over for me. She never talked to me much, not about her feelings, her life. I don't know how much she was like when she was my age. Don't know much about the things that she liked or didn't like. The few times she mentioned her own parents, who I'd never met, it was mostly about how she wanted to get as far away from them as she could once she'd grown up. She never told me why. I asked her a few times, but she would only pretend she hadn't heard me. I didn't want to go to camp that summer. I just wanted to stay with her and help her through the divorce. But she insisted I go away. I figured she wanted to be alone, so I just gave it to her. Camp was awful. I hated it. I thought it would never be better. I thought I would be better being a junior counselor. But I wasn't. No one I knew from the previous year had even come back, so I didn't know anybody, not a single person. I'm not even sure why, but I started playing this little make-believe game with the girls at camp. They'd ask me stuff about myself, and I'd just make things up. My parents are in Europe, I told them. I live in this huge townhouse in the nicest part of the North River Heights. I got this dog named Daisy. Does that ring a bell? Then one day I blurted out that I had a little brother who was deformed. I absolutely have no idea why I said this. It just seemed like an interesting thing to say, and of course, the reaction I got from the little girls in the bungalow were dramatic. Oh, really? Oh, we're so sorry. That must be tough, etc., etc. I regretted saying this the moment it escaped out of my lips, of course. I felt like a fake. Oh, if Via ever found out. I thought she'd think I was such a weirdo. I felt like a weirdo. But I have to admit, there was part of me that felt a little entitled to the lie. I've always known August, well, at least when he was 6 years old. I've watched him grow up. I played with him. I watched all 6 episodes of Star Wars for him, for his sake, so I could talk to him about all the aliens and bounty hunters and all that stuff I didn't understand. I'm the one that gave him the astronaut helmet. He wouldn't take that thing off for 2 years. I mean, I've kind of earned the right to think of him as my brother. Strangest thing is that these lies I told, these fictions, did wonders for my popularity. The other junior counselors heard from the campers, and they were all over it. Never in my life have I ever considered to be one of the popular girls in anything. But that summer in camp, for whatever reason, I was the girl everybody wanted to hang out with. Even the girls in Bungalow 32 were totally into me. These were the girls at the top of the food chain. They said they liked my hair, though they changed it. They said they liked the way I did my makeup, though they changed that too. They showed me how to turn my t-shirts into halter tops. We snuck out late at night, and we took the path through the woods to the boys' camp. We hung out with the boys. When we got back home from camp, I called Ella right away to make plans with her. I don't know why I didn't call Via. I guess I just didn't feel like talking about stuff with her. She would have asked me about my parents and about camp, and Ella never really asked me about anything. I don't know if she even cared. She was an easier friend to have in that way. She wasn't serious like Via. She was fun. She thought it was cool when I dyed my hair hot pink. She wanted to hear all about those trips through the woods late at night. School. I hardly saw Via at school this year, and when I did, I felt awkward. I felt like she was judging me. I knew she didn't like my new look. I knew she didn't like my group of friends. I didn't like much and I didn't much like hers either. We never argued, we just drifted away. Elle and I badmouthed her to each other. She's such a prude. Oh, she's this, she's that. We knew we were being mean, but it was easier to ice her out if we pretended that she had done something to us. The truth is, she hadn't changed at all. We had. We'd become these other people. She was still the same person she'd always been. That kind of annoyed me so much, I don't know why. Once in a while, I'd look to see where she was sitting in the lunchroom or check the elective list to see if she'd signed up for. But except for a few nods in the hallway and the occasional hello, we never really spoke to each other. I noticed Justin about halfway through the school year. I hadn't noticed him at all before, other than he was this skinny, cutish dude with thick glasses and longish hair and carried a violin everywhere. Then one day I saw him in front of the school with his arm around Via. So Via has a boyfriend, I said to Ella, kind of mocking. I don't know why it surprised me that she'd have a boyfriend. Out of the three of us, she was totally the prettiest. She had blue eyes and long wavy dark hair. And she never acted like she was interested in boys. She acted like she was too smart for that kind of stuff. I had a boyfriend too, a guy named Zach. When I told him I was choosing theater as an elective, he shook his head. He shook his head and said, "Oh, careful you don't turn into one of those drama geeks." Not that he wasn't the most sympathetic dude in the world, but he was cute. Very high up on the totem pole, a varsity jock. I wasn't planning on taking theater at first, then I saw Via's name on the sign-up sheet and just wrote my name down on the list. I don't even know why. We managed to avoid one another throughout most of the semester, like we didn't even know each other. Then one day I got to theater class a little early and Davenport asked me to run off an additional copies of the play he was planning on having us to do for the spring production, The Elephant Man. I heard about it, but I really didn't know what it was about, so I started skimming through the pages while I was waiting for the Xerox machine. It was about a man who lived more than 100 years ago named John Merrick. He was terribly deformed. "We can't do this play, Mr. D," I told him when I got back to class. I told him why. My little brother has a birth defect and a very deformed face, and the play would hit too close to home. He seemed annoyed and a little unsympathetic, but I kind of said that my parents would have a real issue with the school doing this play. So anyways, we ended up switching to our town. I think I went for the role of Emily Gibbs because I knew Via was going to go for it too. It never occurred to me I'd beat her for the role. What I miss most. One of the things I miss most about Via's friendships is her family. Oh, I love her mom and dad. They're always so welcoming and nice to me. I knew they loved their kids more than anything. I always felt safe around them, safer than anywhere else in the world. How pathetic that I felt safer in someone else's home than my own home, right? Of course, I loved Augie. I would never be afraid of him. Even when I was little, I had friends that wouldn't believe I'd go over to Via's house. "Ah, his face creeps me out," they would say. "You're stupid," I'd tell them. And Augie's face isn't bad once you get used to it. I called Via's house once just to say hello to Augie. Maybe part of me was hoping Via would answer. I don't know. "Hey, Major Tom," I said, using his nickname for me. "Miranda!" He sounded so happy to hear my voice, it actually kind of took me by surprise. "I'm going to a regular school now," he told me excitedly. "Really? Wow," I said, totally shocked. I guess I never thought he'd go to a regular school. His parents were always so protective of him. I guess I thought he'd always be like that little kid in the astronaut helmet, and I gave him. Talking to him, I could tell he had no idea that Via and I weren't close anymore. "It's different than in high school," I explained to him. "You went hanging out with loads of different people." "I have some friends in the new school," he told me. "A kid named Jack. There's a really nice girl named Summer, too." "That's awesome, Augie," I said. "Well, I was just calling to tell you I miss you and hope you're having a good year. Feel free to call me anytime you want, Augie. You know I love you, right?" "Yeah, I love you too, Miranda. Say hi to Via for me. Tell her I miss her." Okay, I will. Bye." Bye. And talking about connections, connections. In that book, like when he talks about I had a very good, I still have a very good friend, my friend John. And so when I was a kid, my parents were, they're very nice people. Were my dad's passed away, but I always felt safe and comfortable in my home. But I would go to my friend John's, and his mom and dad were so much like I felt like part of their family too. Like it was weird. Like they were my godparents, and yeah, it's neat when you've got these multiple places you can go, and you feel like home wherever you go. Like it's. I grew up in a really nice neighborhood. There's a lot of my friends and their parents. We were all very similar people, and yeah, it was Kamworver. I grew up in Kamworver, very nice place. I'm going to see how much longer is Miranda's section. Yeah, let me just finish it. There's only a couple short chapters. Extraordinary, but no one there to see. Neither my mom nor my father could come to see the play on opening night. This is from Miranda, right? My mother, because she had this thing at work, and my dad, because his new wife was going to have her baby any second, and he had to be on call. Zach couldn't come to opening night either. He was at the volleyball game against Collegiate he couldn't miss. In fact, he wanted me to miss opening night so he'd come cheer me on. My friends were all at the game, of course, because their boyfriends were playing. Even Ella didn't come. Given the chance, she chose the crowd. So on opening night, no one that was remotely close to me was even there. And the thing is, I realized in my third or fourth rehearsal, I was actually really good at this acting thing. I felt the part. I understood the words I spoke. I could really get into the lines if they were coming actually from my brain or my own heart. And on opening night, I could honestly say I knew I was going to be good. I was going to be great. I was going to be extraordinary. But there was no one here to even see it that I cared about. We were all backstage, nervously running through our lines in our head. I peeked through the curtain at the people taking their seats. That's when I saw Augie walking down the aisle with Isabel and Nate. That's his parents' real names. They took their seats in the fifth row right near the middle. Augie was wearing a bow tie, looking around excitedly. He had grown up a bit since I'd last saw him, probably about a year ago. His hair was shorter. He was even wearing some kind of new hearing aid now, but his face hadn't changed a bit. Davenport was running through some last-minute changes with the set director. I saw Justin pacing off stage left, mumbling lines nervously. "Mr. Davenport," I said, surprising myself as I spoke, "I'm sorry, but I can't go on tonight." Davenport turned around slowly. What?" "I'm sorry. Are you kidding?" I'm just," I muttered, looking down. I don't feel well. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm going to throw up." It was a lie. "Oh, it's just the last minute jitters. It's stage fright." No, no, I can't do it. I'm telling you." Davenport looked furious. "Miranda, this is outrageous." I'm sorry." Davenport took a deep breath like he was trying to restrain himself. To be truthful, I thought he looked like he was going to explode. His forehead turned bright pink. "Miranda, this is absolutely unacceptable. Now, just take a few deep breaths." "No, I'm not going on," I said loudly, and the tears came flowing easily out of my eyes. "Okay, fine," he screamed. He looking at me. Then he turned to a kid named David, who was the set director. "Go find Olivia in the lighting booth. Tell her she's filling in for Miranda tonight." What?" said David, who wasn't too swift. "Go," shouted Davenport. "Now." The kids had caught on to what was happening and were gathering around. What's going on?" said Justin. "Last minute changes of plans," said Davenport. "Miranda's not feeling that well." "I feel sick," I said, trying to sound sick. "So why you still here?" said Davenport. He said to me angrily. "Stop talking, take off your costume, give it to Olivia, right? Okay, come on, everybody, let's go, let's go." I ran backstage to the dressing room as quickly as I could, started peeling off my costumes. 2 seconds later, there was a knock and Via half opened the door. What's going on?" she said. "Hurry up, just put it on," I answered, handing her the dress. "You're sick?" Yeah, hurry up, put on the dress." Via looked stunned. She took off her t-shirt and jeans and pulled on the long dress over her head. I pulled it down for her and then zipped it up at the back. Luckily, Emily Webb didn't go on for the first 10 minutes of the play, so the girl handling hair and makeup had time to put Via's hair up and twist and do that quick makeup job. I'd actually never seen Via with a lot of makeup on. She looked like a model. "I'm not even sure I'll remember my lines," Via said, looking at herself in the mirror. "Your lines? You'll do great," I said. She looked at me in the mirror. Why are you doing this, Miranda?" "Olivia," It was Davenport, hush shouting from the door, "You're on in 10 minutes, now or never." Via followed him out the door, so I never got a chance to answer her question. I don't know what I would have said anyways. I wasn't even sure what the answer was. I'll let you think for a minute. Why do you think Miranda let Via take the part that night? The performance. I watched the rest of the play from the wings just off stage next to Davenport. Justin was amazing, and Via, in that heartbreaking last scene, was awesome. There was one line she flubbed a little bit, but Justin covered for her, and no one in the audience even noticed. I heard Davenport muttering under his breath, "Good, good, good." He was so nervous that all the students put together, the actors, the set directors, the lighting team, the guy handling the curtains. Davenport was actually a wreck, frankly. I know the feeling when I organize Christmas concerts. I want everything to go right. The only time I felt any regret, as if you could even call that, was at the end of the play when everybody went out for their curtain calls. Via and Justin were the last of the actors walking out on stage. The audience rose to their feet when they took their bows. Then I had to admit, it was a little bittersweet for me. But just a few minutes later, I saw Nate and Isabel and Augie make their way backstage. They all seemed so happy. Everyone was congratulating the actors and patting them on the back. It was that crazy backstage theater mayhem where sweaty actors stand euphoric while people come and worship them for a few seconds. In that crush of people, I noticed Augie looking kind of lost. I cut through the crowd as fast as I could, and I came up behind him. "Hey," I said, "Major Tom." The next chapter is called After the Show. I can't say why I was so happy to see Augie again after so long, or how good it felt then when he hugged me. "I can't believe how big you've gotten," I said to him. "Hey, I thought you were supposed to be in the play," he said. I wasn't up to it," I said, "but Via was great, don't you think?" He nodded. 2 seconds later, Isabel found us. "Miranda," she said happily, giving me a kiss on the cheek. And then to August, "Don't ever disappear like that again." "What do you mean you were the two that disappeared?" Augie answered back. "How are you feeling?" Isabel said to me. "Via told me you got sick." "Oh, I feel much better," I answered. "Is your mom here?" said Isabel, looking around. "No, she had work stuff. So it's actually not a big deal for me," I said truthfully. "We have 2 more shows anyways, though I don't think I'll be as good as Emily as Via was tonight." Nate came over and we had basically the same exact conversation. Then Isabel said, "Look, we're going to have a late night dinner to celebrate the show. You feeling up to join us? We'd love to have you come." Oh, no," I said. "Oh, please," said Augie. "No, I should go home," I said. "No, we insist," said Nate. By now, Via and Justin had come over with Justin's mom and Via and put an arm around me. "You're definitely coming," said Via, smiling her old smile at me. They started leading me out of the crowd, and I have to admit, for the first time in a very, very long time, I felt completely happy. So when you tune in for part 8, we're going back to August again. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you very much.